Hi, I'm Katie, host of Focus and Flourish podcast. I used to grind nonstop until I figured out how to automate my systems that ended up helping me achieve a 4-day work week. Now I earn more and work less. Want to do the same? Grab my free 6-figure strategy guide, which is the exact blueprint I used to grow my own business to where I am today. Link in the show notes. Are you new here? Tap subscribe to support the show and never miss an episode. Welcome to Focus and Flourish, the podcast for photographers ready to build sustainable 6-figure businesses without burnout, chaos, or late 2 a.m. editing sessions. I'm Katie Monroe, wedding photographer, branding expert, and coach behind Momentum Method. And today we're digging into a topic that's very close to my heart because it transformed everything for me: editing and post-production. So let's talk deeper about why it's secretly draining your creativity, how you can take back 20 plus hours a week, depending on how much you shoot, and how modern AI tools like Imagen and Aftershoot completely changed my life without having to let go of anyone on our editing team. So not replacing humans, but using these tools strategically and ethically, right? So I first want to dive in sort of about my thoughts, and I'm sure a lot of your thoughts on the post-production trap. So let's be really honest here. Editing is the number one reason most photographers are really exhausted, right? It's the hidden time suck behind, everything we do. And the part we don't post about, but we do secretly dread, of course, seeing, your favorites. Oh my God, that shoot was so fun. But really executing lots and lots of editing over and over again. If you're a wedding photographer in wedding season, or mini sessions, or really big pushes in your business, right? So it just is a total time suck. It's when you'll work on weekends, work in bed, be on your laptop all the time. I used to be there, years ago. So then when I was, building out Momentum Method, I realized I cannot teach any photographer to grow their business, scale their business, implement all of these systems before we know that they have a post-production blueprint to follow. Because if you're doing all of your own editing, you can't stay in your zone of genius in your business. All right. So I go over things like, getting digitally organized and really having a bulletproof folder system. That's number one. Digital organization, backup systems in place, predictable systems that happen over and over and over again. And building an editing workflow that scales with you. We cannot trade our time for dollars sustainably if we're constantly wearing all of the hats in our business. So another thing that I teach is creating a master Lightroom catalog, which saves your marketing life, but that's for another episode. And then a big piece of this is confidently outsourcing without fear or feeling like you're selling out or feeling like you're letting go of your creativity. You are in the driver's seat. You're creating the anchor images or the master edits that anyone or anything would be going off of. So keep that in mind as we, keep going. I totally get it, because if you're sitting there going, yeah, right, no one can edit like me. No way would I relinquish control here. I get it. I went through it. It's really hard. It's hard on the ego. It's hard to let go of. But just remember, you are stepping into a leadership role and also always going to be giving anyone supporting you feedback, right? So letting go of editing feels vulnerable. Facts. It's your art. It's the signature part of the process that differentiates you from everyone else in your niche or in your industry. And it's your style, And that's why, this is exactly why I had to create systems around it, because it was robbing me of everything else I loved about my business. The marketing part, the collaboration part, expanding my team. I was bogged down. So let me rewind just a little bit here. My career started way before this phase. I did film photography. I developed film in the darkroom, internships at National Geographic, where I was actually analyzing film and slides, and then assisting at weddings, for other photographers whom I began second shooting and then associate shooting for. So I didn't just start here, you really had to build up. But I worked through Southern California, Santa Cruz, Oakland, San Francisco, and eventually made it back up to Napa and Sonoma County where I live now. But everything here was built from the ground up. There were no AI tools. There was no, Lightroom was amazing, but everything was very different during the time I was growing and moving forward in this way. So although I kept moving forward, what really burned me out the most wasn't the shooting part. That filled me up. It was post-production. Endless late nights, like culling, going over my assistant's work. I did have an assistant at the time, but I hadn't fully let go of control yet, right? And then re-editing galleries or tweaking, just wasting time, like literally not practicing what I was preaching and implementing the systems. So that was what was hurting me, feeling like I had to do it all because I was the only one that could. And that is not true. That was just a story I made up in my head. So this belief was just costing me everything. I finally realized, okay, I cannot proceed forward in this career. I had gone full time, so I was there. We had a lot of movement and lead generation and all of that. But I knew I couldn't go on in that way. And what changed everything for me, literally everything, was when I built out a repeatable editing and outsourcing workflow. Now, before AI, I built out this workflow to outsource to editors whom I could grow with. And I've always taught that, creating your quick collection in Lightroom and all of these anchor images that they go off of. This is something that can be outsourced. This is something that you can let go of. It does not mean you need to let go of your style. In fact, it actually will support consistency and longevity in the final product of your work. So I created my preset very early on, and I trained my entire team on it. And, we just stuck with it. It evolved. It has changed slightly, but it really created a consistency in our work that helped build trust with my audience. I wasn't going from moody editing to super blown out. Like it really stuck, and I'm really proud of that. And I understand that we're all figuring out our creative flow with editing, but I highly recommend going with what you're genuinely called to as an artist and not what's trendy, because most of those trends are going to go out of style. Find a timeless style that's yours and stick to it. So I also gave myself permission to let go, to train people, to know that I could raise my rates to cover these costs and price myself for profit in a way where this wasn't eating into my personal paycheck. And so that was the result. The result from that was I stopped doing about 90% of my editing and nothing fell apart. It was incredible. I had so much time back. I had infinitely more time to shoot, but we upped our branding game, our messaging, marketing, networking, client relationships. All of the systems that run my business today took time to implement that I did not have had I not let go of the editing, right? So my style stayed consistent. Clients were extremely impressed with a fast turnaround time, and everyone was happy. My team was employed, our editors that I started out with early on are still in business, and it was consistent. Of course, you're going to have some critiques. Of course, you're going to want to put in the time in the beginning, and eventually it will be a more well-oiled machine. So I got my life back, and that was right around the time where I really wanted more personal time and, was going through things in my personal life that also needed attention, not just work. So that's sort of where this all started. And this was years and years and years ago. And what I think is happening now with AI is it's much cheaper. It's much more affordable. So people are diving in without a system to actually implement AI in a way that can grow with them. And that is something I'll go over today as well. But the AI revolution for me started in 2021. Imagen, they're based in Israel, had come out with it, and I was texting with one of my really good photographer friends, and we both had new babies, and he was like, oh my God, just try it. You've been shooting for over 10 years. Like this, you have such a dialed style. It's just training, a computer to mimic what you've already built. And when he put it that way, it really helped me in honoring how much work I'd done and been like, okay, yeah, we have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of weddings, dozens of brand shoots, family sessions, portraits, newborns. And so when Imagen and Aftershoot came onto the scene, I knew that I could leverage this as an incredible tool on my end to get things going, right? So, in the beginning, Aftershoot came later, but with Imagen, I loaded over 90,000 images to the platform, full Lightroom catalogs. And I was really conscious. I was also curious, but I was really conscious of adding every lighting scenario possible, every skin tone, all types of skin, every type of scenario from indoor, outdoor, golden hour, harsh flash, dimly lit reception areas, product sessions, beaches, mountains, artificial light, natural light, dusk, blue hour, harsh sunlight, everything. And I started training both platforms with my style, my preset, and my editing rhythm. And honestly, I just was blown away. I was like, wow, this is leveraging technology as a tool and not a full human replacement, but it did revolutionize my business, especially in regards to having a team and shooting a high volume of work annually. So with Aftershoot, my workflow is SD cards go straight into the computer into Aftershoot, and Aftershoot immediately color codes, previews, and rejects everything that is a exact duplicate, closed eyes, or like blurry, which I review because it might have been intentional, but within minutes, right? So we're paring down that within minutes. And then we launch Lightroom catalogs straight from Aftershoot, and it just saves massive amounts of time. Aftershoot is a one-time fee annually. And then I edit the entire session. So even though we're not delivering the entire session, that means my team is getting a really primed catalog to work on. Okay. So that is Aftershoot. And I'm just like, okay, here we go. We've pared it down. We've got a really good base, everything's straightened. And with Imagen, because I do use both, I think they're both incredible AI tools. With Imagen, my fine-tuned profile is very similar to Aftershoot, but because I have been using the platform even longer, sometimes I find certain nuances are even more on point, like golden hour, for example, or a branding session with really bright oranges or bright greens. I'm like, it really has learned what I would do. And so I find that pretty much always my Imagen profile really produces that refined editorial, warm, elevated look we're going for. And the other big piece with Imagen is skin softening can be applied in a bulk way. And it's this very natural skin softening brush. It barely shows, but it's just enough to give this creamy, glowing skin. And it's really powerful for my branding work. When I'm delivering 100 brand photos for a company or a person, everything's retouched effortlessly. That used to take me hours and hours and hours, and I used to charge for it. And now I don't, and my clients are just thrilled with the, product, and they keep coming back. So the last piece is my team can run edits in bulk without needing the original files because there's a cloud-based system. So that's sort of how we use the two interchangeably. In the show notes, by the way, there are codes for 1,500 free edits with Imagen and also a free trial with Aftershoot for you guys to try it out and see how it feels. My profile is actually on both of them as well, if you just want to test it out and see all of this in action, right? So here's what matters to me within this topic. I didn't replace my team. I trained them to utilize these tools, and AI didn't take away the art. It just took away the burnout. That's it. That's all it did. And when I say I didn't replace my team, I will say, of course, this reduced time. And I've built a very loyal team, and I'm proud of that because ultimately editing is not really what people want to be doing. They want to be making money shooting. So for us, I'm very grateful. Thank you, everybody on my team. But that being said, our workflow is so dialed now, and I'm so proud of how it's evolved. And I'm happy to help anyone get started who needs support here. So here now we have the same signature style we've always had, but it's extremely consistent across 2 businesses with 4 photographers on our team. And ultimately, everyone's working smarter, not harder, not burning out. And then we have way more time to work on marketing campaigns, take on more shoots and rest. And ultimately, had this not come into my life in 2021, I would have never, ever in my life thought of really building out a strong educational branch of my business. So, food for thought there. So lastly, how can you start building out your post-production blueprint? So here's what I recommend. Set up a digital folder hierarchy. I do teach all of this in Momentum Method, my online course, but basically, okay, what year is it? Within that folder, all the niches that you do, within that folder, all the shoots that you do, and within that parent folder, for example, Matthew's family, a folder for the raw images, a folder for your Lightroom catalog, and then eventually a folder for your edited files. So these are really important for everybody. Strongly recommend a separate Lightroom catalog for every shoot you do. Please DM me on Instagram or shoot me an email if you have questions on that. It's a really, really, really big topic for us in my program. And then create a repeatable Lightroom workflow, your import settings, your presets, your export flow, and just get that going. Those are really important before you test out AI, okay? And then if you want to build out a master content catalog, that is basically building out a content library from all of the selects that you have from everything else. I would start with leveraging, your systems and getting everything organized and then testing out AI. And then if you want to build out a master content catalog, amazing. It's under the freebie tab on my website. I do have a free training on it. So start outsourcing now. If you're not ready to do AI, great. Raw Digital Lab in Australia, they're amazing. There are plenty of people out there that can do this affordably and replicate your exact editing style. Start outsourcing now. Raise your prices by $300 a session or $200 a session to cover it, right? And then from there, you'll get more comfortable and you're going to add AI in where it makes sense. Let it support your vision and not replace it, right? And let it support if you listen to episode 1, your vision for yourself. So if you do want to try this out, start your free trial with Aftershoot, link in show notes. You'll also get 500 free edits, or try out Imagen underneath that with 1,500 free edits and 25% off of my fine-tuned profile if you just want to test it out, right? So lastly, when I created Momentum Method, my main reason was because I didn't want another photographer to feel the kind of burnout I did. The tears, it was exhausting. The fear of letting go, fear of having kids, not knowing how to stop, right? And now I'm living proof. You can scale, you can grow, you can still love what you do 17 years later and still feel young. You can do this with structure, support, systems that actually work. And it starts with taking back your time. So if you found this helpful, share this episode with a good friend, a photographer, or head to thecreatecollective.com with a K to check out Momentum Method, and my AI profiles are there as well. So let's keep creating businesses that support our lives and not consume them. Thank you all so much for listening. I'm cheering you on, and I will see you all in a few weeks. I really don't want you to miss out on future episodes of Focus and Flourish. When you subscribe or follow this podcast on your favorite listening app, you'll be the first to know when new episodes are released. You'll never lose your place in an episode if you need to leave early. So go on, join and subscribe to the community that's committed to working smarter, not harder. Let's scale together.